video. It is a little bit late, but better late than never. It's a follow up, of course, to one I did previously where I showed mainly the Republicans and their star powers that came out to support them pre the USA election. This time I'm showing some of the star power on the side of the Democrats. Now, you notice we had all this star power and the pretty speech, but the pretty speech really didn't turn out the victory. It's on the other side where, yeah, we did have some star power, but if you got a chance to listen to what the stars were saying, you would probably say, oh my God, it's gross, or, something to that effect. But that was the party who won. And of course, they did similar things, but in different ways. All right, I'm going to leave it for you now to take a listen, and you may differ with me on some points, but of course you can leave your comments down below. All right, for right now I want you to really tune in, take a listen, and we'll have more to say as we go along.
Everyone, good evening, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy lives. Thank you, everyone. So listen, 1 week from today, you will have the chance to make a decision that directly impacts your life, the life of your family, and the future of this country we love. And it will probably be the most important vote you ever cast. And this election is more than just a choice between two parties and two different candidates. It is a choice about whether we have a country rooted in freedom for every American or ruled by chaos and division. So tonight, I will speak to everyone about the choice and the stakes in this election. Look, we know who Donald Trump is. He is the person who stood at this very spot nearly 4 years ago and sent an armed mob to the United States Capitol to overturn the will of the people in a free and fair election. Americans died as a result of that attack. 140 law enforcement officers were injured because of that attack. And while Donald Trump sat in the White House watching as the violence unfolded on television, he was told by his staff that the mob wanted to kill his own vice president. And Donald Trump responded with 2 words: so what? America, that's who Donald Trump is. And that's who is asking you to give him another 4 years in the Oval Office. Not to focus on your problems, but to focus on his. This is someone who is unstable, obsessed with revenge, consumed with grievance, and out for unchecked power. Donald Trump has spent a decade trying to keep the American people divided and afraid of each other. That is who he is. But America, I am here tonight to say that is not who we are. That is not who we are. You see, what Donald Trump has never understood is that e pluribus unum, out of many, one, isn't just a phrase on a dollar bill. It is a living truth about the heart of our nation. It is time to stop pointing fingers. We have to stop pointing fingers and start locking arms. It is time to turn the page on the drama and the conflict, the fear and division. It is time for a new generation of leadership in America. And I am ready to offer that leadership as the next President of the United States of America. I recognize this has not been a typical campaign. Even though I've had the honor of serving as your vice president for the last 4 years, I know that many of you are still getting to know who I am.
We are going to talk about the choice America faces in this election. It's a choice not just between two very different candidates, but between two very different futures. We will hear from everyday Americans about what is truly at stake in this campaign.
All right, stop right there. When he says everyday Americans, I wonder if he's referring to the celebrities, because they bring out the celebrities who think they know what everyday American faces. They should have gone into the hood.
The future of our middle class.
All right, so if you listen, he says the future of the middle class. No politician ever talks about the future of the poor class. They just go from middle to upper, and it's the poorer class that always vote for them.
The future of reproductive rights. The future of our climate, our security, our schools. The future of our freedom. The future of our very democracy.
This is the moment to remember when you tell your children where you were and what you did. As we stand between history's pain and tomorrow's promises, we must choose courage over complacency. It is time to get up and go vote.
Together, we can do all things and continue to inspire the world. That's why I believe that Kamala, as president, could bring that unity back and continue to move our country forward. This is about preserving hope and belief in our country, making sure families can be taken care of during their most precious times. I got to visit Kamala with my team in the White House last year, and I can tell you one thing I knew then and I definitely know now. The Oval Office suits her well. So in the words of Michelle Obama, do something. Go vote. Be active. Let's show out in November like never before. It's been an honor for me to represent our country. It's an honor to support Kamala. So let's all do our part.
So let me tell you, in the Latino community, in our community, we have a saying, sí se puede, which means yes. It means yes, we can. But tonight, I'm here to tell you, yes, she can. So we're going to say, she se puede. So when someone asks you, is she ready to lead this country forward? We're going to say, she se puede. When somebody says, is she qualified for the job? We're going to say, she se puede. When somebody asks, is she going to be the first female president of the United States? We're going to say, she se puede. Our voices, our vote, we're going to decide this election.
But the thing I remember the most about the vice president is that Kamala Harris can cook. Guys, she was so much better than me.
All right, the fact that Kamala Harris can cook takes precedence over children going to bed hungry, going to school hungry. Veterans are homeless. Yes, people are living in poverty, and the only thing that matters is that Kamala Harris can cook. What about the minimum wage? What about the cost of housing? Come on, what about all these different things that are happening? What about the retirement? What about these people who are retiring? They can't even live on what Social Security is giving them. Come on, forget cooking. Look at the cost of housing. All these celebrities come out. They don't know what we go through when it comes to housing. A one bedroom for a retiree, $2,000 per month, does not include electricity and running water. What are we talking? Of course, you can cook, and Camilla can cook because you have the money. And yes, people, they've collected, Camilla raised thousands, millions of dollars for this campaign. And if you follow the news right now, it is said that she's asking for money to cover campaign debts. We didn't need all this star power. We needed to take that money out into the inner cities and help people who are homeless, help people without roofs, help people whose children are going to school and to bed hungry. Need I say more?
But she also knew that my family was watching. So, as she gently corrected my sloppy dosa making, she was complimenting me every step of the way, making sure that my daughter Kit heard how good of a cook I am. She had no desire to be seen as better than anyone else. She just wanted my kid to be impressed with her mom. And when she finally bit into my dosa, she looked at me and said, really good, and then never took another bite again. Yes. But it is that warmth, that generosity of spirit, that I know she will bring to the White House as our next president.
Meanwhile, this is happening somewhere in America. Take a look and a listen.
According to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, an estimated 2 million people were experiencing homelessness on a single night in 2023. This represents a significant increase of 15% compared to 2022, highlighting a worsening trend. The AHAR report reveals that nearly 60% homeless people were reported living on the streets, in cars, or in other places not meant for human habitation, facing harsher conditions and greater vulnerability. The number of chronically homeless individuals in America has reached alarming heights. Over 440,000 people in the United States were estimated to be chronically homeless. This constitutes nearly 22% of the total homeless population, highlighting the significant portion grappling with long-term homelessness. The National Alliance to End Homelessness reports that families with children make up about 30% of the homeless population. An estimated 186,100 children experienced homelessness on a single night in January 2023. This translates to a concerning 16% increase compared to 2022, and a staggering 77% increase since 2006. These statistics reveal a growing crisis, disproportionately impacting children of color. The recent surge in migrant arrivals in the USA has placed a complex strain on social services, particularly in the area of homelessness. U.S. Customs and Border Protection reported a record-breaking number of encounters at the U.S.-Mexico border in fiscal year 2023. These encounters, exceeding 5.2 million, surpassed the previous year's high. However, this number includes apprehensions of individuals attempting unauthorized entry, not just total arrivals. When we consider legal immigration channels, the State Department reported issuing over 13.4 million temporary visas in fiscal year 2023. Demographics of homelessness in America. According to the National Alliance to End Homelessness, while white Americans make up around 76% of the general population, they only constitute about 49% of the homeless population nationally. This translates to a rate of approximately 15 white people experiencing homelessness per 10,000 in the general population. This data suggests that white people are underrepresented in the homeless population, compared to their share of the overall population. While African Americans comprise roughly 13% of the general population according to the U.S. Census Bureau, they make up a staggering 37% of people experiencing homelessness. This disparity is even more pronounced for homeless families with children, where black families account for over 50%. Similarly, indigenous populations face a disproportionate burden. Native Americans, Alaska Natives represent just 1% of the U.S. population. but constitute 5% of the homeless population. Cost of homelessness in America. The National Alliance to End Homelessness calculated that in 2021, the U.S. federal government enacted over $51 billion in funding for selected homelessness and housing programs. In a 2015 study, researchers estimated that the total revenues for nonprofits providing shelter to people experiencing homelessness were approximately $13.5 billion, some of which likely includes some federal funding. In 2023, America spent $59 billion through its Homelessness Strategies Department. Most of this was spent on outside contracts, which likely include programs offered by homelessness service providers. According to the National Alliance to End Homelessness report for January 2024, the nationwide homelessness cost should be from $35 billion to $50 billion. A person experiencing chronic homelessness costs the taxpayer an average of $50,200 a year. A 2023 audit by the California State Auditor estimated that the state had spent $32 billion over the past 5 years. This amount includes funding for shelters, rent subsidies, and Project Homekey, a program converting hotels into housing. Despite spending over $32 billion, California's homeless population continued to grow. Here's a list of the 7 most homeless states in America. 7. Massachusetts. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, over 89,200 individuals were identified as homeless in Massachusetts in 2023. This number represents a concerning rise, with a 23.4% increase from 2022. Furthermore, these figures only capture those experiencing homelessness on a single night, neglecting the hidden homeless population. Individuals couchsurfing or living in overcrowded conditions. The influx of migrants has placed immense pressure on the state's emergency shelter system. Many homeless families in Massachusetts come from countries ravaged by political instability and economic collapse. Seeking safety and opportunity, they embark on perilous journeys, often arriving with nothing but clothes. The Pew Research Center estimated that Massachusetts had around 470,000 undocumented immigrants in 2022. This figure represents approximately 5.3% of the state's total population. The influx of migrants has undeniably impacted existing homeless populations. Shelters are overcrowded, resources are stretched thin, and wait times for permanent housing have lengthened. This has led to concerns that long-term homeless residents may be overlooked in the scramble to accommodate the new arrivals. 6. Oregon. Oregon presents a stark contrast to the growing crisis of homelessness within its borders. While the state represents only 1.3% of the U.S. population, it holds a disproportionately high number of homeless individuals, roughly 3.1% of the national total. According to a 2023 report by Axios, Oregon likely has around 97,000 residents experiencing homelessness. This number represents a record high for the state, with a disproportionate number, around 70%, living unsheltered on the streets, in cars, or other inadequate housing. The situation in Oregon is further complicated by a rising trend in homelessness. Reports from 2023 indicate an 8.5% increase in the homeless population compared to 2022. The roots of homelessness in Oregon are multifaceted. A significant factor is the lack of affordable housing. Rents have skyrocketed in recent years, outpacing wage growth and pushing low-income residents towards housing insecurity. This is particularly acute in urban centers like Portland, where the homeless population has risen by a staggering 65% since 2015. 5. Texas. Data from the Texas Homeless Network dashboard indicates roughly 103,902 people experiencing homelessness in Texas. This translates to 42,663 households, suggesting a significant number of families facing unstable housing situations. Families with children constitute a substantial segment of the homeless population in Texas. THN reports that families make up approximately 41% of those experiencing homelessness. Roughly 15% of the total homeless population in 2023 were under 18. Texas has witnessed a significant decrease in its reported homeless population over the past decade, The Texas State Affordable Housing Corporation reports a decline from roughly 153,282 people in 2015 to 103,902 in 2022. Between 2017 and 2020, the sheltered homeless population in Texas decreased by 11%, and the unsheltered population by 5%. 4. Washington. According to the 2023 point-in-time count conducted by the state, an estimated 163,200 people were experiencing homelessness on a single night. This number represents a 8,825-person increase from 2022 and reflects a troubling trend. The National Alliance to End Homelessness reports a similar figure of 150,200, highlighting the inherent difficulties in obtaining a precise count. Washington has a significant challenge with youth homelessness. An estimated 33,000 people between the ages of 12 and 24 are experiencing homelessness. Race and ethnicity play a significant role in homelessness rates. Black or African American residents, despite comprising only 6% of Washington's population, make up roughly 18% of the homeless population. Similarly, indigenous people are disproportionately affected, with 13% experiencing homelessness, compared to the 4% who identify as such in the general population. White Americans, on the other hand, have a much lower rate, with around 15 per 10,000 people experiencing homelessness. 3. Florida. The most recent data suggests that Florida has an estimated homeless population of 207,200. This represents a decrease from previous years, with a January 2020 count showing 227,200 homeless individuals. While this decline is encouraging, the number remains worryingly high. FCEH reports that only 20.8% of homeless individuals in Florida are chronically homeless, defined as having a disability and experiencing homelessness long-term. Florida's warm climate undoubtedly plays a role in migration patterns. Some individuals experiencing homelessness might be drawn to the state seeking refuge from harsher winters. Recent studies suggest a possible link between rising homelessness and the influx of migrants, particularly from Central and South America. The 2023 AHAR report noted a significant increase in the number of homeless Hispanic, Latino individuals, with many seeking shelter in temporary facilities. According to the Kaiser Family Foundation, an estimated 1.8 million people, or roughly 8% of the state's total population, are immigrants. This diverse group comes from various countries, with Cuba, Haiti, Colombia, Mexico, and Jamaica being some of the most common origins.
All right, Jamaicans, let us stand our yard. We don't need to be homeless in America. It's better to be homeless at home.
2. New York. New York City, a global symbol of prosperity, grapples with a persistent and heartbreaking issue: homelessness. While the exact number is difficult to determine, estimates suggest a staggering number of people lack safe and permanent housing. According to the Coalition for the Homeless, a leading advocacy group, over 303,520 people in New York City lacked a permanent home in March 2024. This staggering number includes individuals utilizing shelters and the unsheltered population. The unsheltered population is particularly difficult to quantify. Estimates from 2019 suggest around 163,600 individuals faced unsheltered homelessness, but this number is likely an undercount due to the transient nature of this population. Adding another layer of complexity are those who are doubled up, meaning they precariously share housing with friends or family due to economic hardship. This group is difficult to quantify, but the Coalition for the Homeless estimates it to be over 200,000 in New York City. 1. California. The most recent data from the 2023 point-in-time count conducted by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, over 391,399 people were experiencing homelessness in California. This staggering number represents several concerning realities. Firstly, California holds a disproportionate share of the national homeless population, with slightly less than 12% of the U.S. population. The state accounts for over 32% of the nation's homeless individuals. This translates to a per capita rate of homelessness that is among the highest in the country. with an estimated 0.66% of California residents lacking stable shelter. Secondly, California has the dubious distinction of the highest percentage of unsheltered homeless people in the nation. Over two-thirds, or roughly 223,423 people, sleep on the streets, in encampments, or in vehicles. This number is a stark reminder of the harsh realities faced by many homeless Californians. For context, California has 8 times as many unsheltered homeless individuals as the state with the second highest total. According to the most recent PIT count data 2022, there were 82,544 homeless children identified in California. This number represents only a fraction of the potential homeless child population. School enrollment data paints a more concerning picture. The California Department of Education reported that 129,288 students experienced homelessness during the 2021 school year. Homeless encampment bans in America. The legal foundation for homeless encampment bans often rests on municipal ordinances and state laws designed to regulate the use of public spaces. These laws typically fall under the broader category of public nuisance statutes, which grant cities the authority to remove encampments that are deemed to obstruct public access, pose health hazards, or contribute to crime.
Yeah, video is kind of long, but that was just to show you that we have greater issues to be concerned about than cooking and tasting sloppy Joe. And yes, I cut the video short. There's more, but later.
Now, as I stand here, I know that there are folks on social media already saying, go back to your TV show, shut up and act. But I am not here tonight as an actor.
Once an actor, always an actor. Of course, you have to come out and act for the money. Yeah, you got big money to come out and say all these little mundane things.
I am here as a mother, as a daughter, as a proud union member. I am here as the granddaughter of immigrants, as a black woman descended from enslaved people. I am here tonight because I am an American and because I am a voter and because we, the people, are stronger when all our voices are heard.
I can tell you this. I don't blame Donald Trump for not wanting to debate Kamala. I've been married to a black woman for 40 years and I ain't won one debate. I'm owing $93,000. Now, of course, Trump is saying that Kamala isn't black. I guarantee you this, Kamala's been black a lot longer than Trump's been a Republican. And if he keeps sliding in the polls the way he is, the only way he can keep Kamala out of the White House is if he buys it and refuses to rent it to her.
All right. Y'all remember this big old book from before? When Colorado Governor Jerry Polis ripped a page out of it? This is Project 2025, the Republican blueprint for a second Trump term.
Yeah, I also walked around with textbooks that I never read. I guess that's why I'm afraid of algebra. Never like it. It just barely scraped through. So walking around with that book and you never read it makes no sense.
It is boo! It is a real document that you can read for yourself at kamalaharris.com/Project 2025. You ever seen a document that could kill a small animal and democracy at the same time? Here it is. You know how when you download an app and there are hundreds of pages there that you don't read, it's just the terms and conditions, and you just click agree, right? Well, these are the terms and conditions of a second Trump presidency. You vote for him, you vote for all of this.
Now imagine what we could do with all 330 million of us playing on the same team. Not as Democrats, not as Republicans, not as libertarians, but as Americans who know the greatness of this nation doesn't come from any one of us, but from each of us doing our part to build a more perfect union. That vision is what this campaign is all about. It's why I'm here tonight. And it's why I'll be getting out every day to help people get out and vote on November 5th and elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz as the next president and vice president of the United States. And after the results are tallied that night, we can, in the words of the great Steph Curry, we can tell Donald Trump, night, night. Thank you.
We are not so different from our neighbors.
No, we're not. We're created equal by the Creator.
When a house is on fire, we don't ask about the homeowner's race or religion. We don't wonder who their partner is or how they voted. No. We just try to do the best we can to save them. And if the place happens to belong to a childless cat lady,
Small talk and pity party. Let's hear it.
well, we try to get that cat out too. Because we are a country of people who work hard for the money. We wish our brothers and sisters well. And
but that's beside the point.
You got all kinds, I mean, you got all kinds of stories for the barbershop.
It sounds like somebody's pulling up. Clear up the misinformation about your background on criminal justice.
I was probably one of the first elected prosecutors in the country to say we need to have reentry initiatives. And I designed from scratch and wrote out a program that focused in particular on young men who are arrested for drug sales. My policy was that we were not going to jail people for simple marijuana. And by the way, right now, I believe we need to just actually legalize the whole thing, and that's part of my platform.
For sure.
Shakur over here is a dean of students, and he works with our young people every day.
I'm from Philly, born and raised, uptown to be exact. I've been in education for 10 years. I started off as a teacher's assistant in a school in North Philly.
Only 1% of teachers in public schools are black men.
Yeah, for sure.
1%. The statistics are if a black child has a black teacher by the end of third grade, they're like 13% more likely to go to college.
To succeed.
Wow.
But to go to college even. And, you know, part of actually my focus and agenda is what we've got to do to create incentives, which really are not necessarily incentives in terms of the will, but also we don't pay teachers enough.
Right.
Student loan debt is an issue, you know, and thinking about how we create incentives to actually recruit and retain, because we know the benefit to overall society, and in particular to our children. You know, the beauty of human nature also is that when you set a high bar and you give people the chance to reach it, especially starting with our children, they will go for it every time.
Every time.
Every single time. If you give a child from the beginning of their life all reinforcement that tells them they can be anything and do anything, and that they are loved and that they are special. I mean, that is one of the keys, I think, to what we can do for the children of our families, our community, right? I mean, I think about it, you know, I grew up at a time where, you know, Aretha was singing "You Are Young, Gifted, and Black." And every signal we received told us that.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, we weren't particularly special, but everybody told us we was.
Right.
And we believed them.
But what we were talking about is representation and why it matters.
That's right.
Being able to see yourself as a heroic figure.
Yeah, right.
Everybody feels lonely. Everybody
Yeah, that's
feels
true.
like just
That's
things
true.
aren't going your way. And when you look around, the way that society is being constructed, the way that it's just everything is so against you. No matter who you are, you're going to have to hit the same roadblocks in life.
As a black man, you know, it was about 2 weeks ago you released your plan for black men. And first, let me say thank you for doing it.
I loved it.
But it's based on work I've been doing for years, by the way.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
But a lot of times brothers don't feel seen.
Yeah, but understandably.
And so literally having a plan that says, black men, this is for you,
Right.
was extremely important. What we're seeing is
getting more brothers to actually understand what's in the plan. But you also talked about other things. And I mean, I read the plan. I think it was 9
for
pages.
example,
I
to
read
your
it all.
point, I also know history to understand why people feel the way they do right now, and it's based on fact. You look at World War II, okay. The people who went to fight that war, who were predominantly men, went to go fight that war. They came back, and America called them the greatest generation because they did such an incredible job, and so many gave their lives for it. So the policy was, we should invest in the greatest generation. They've done so much for our country. And one of the things that we did as policy to create federal programs to help them, including giving an incredible infusion of resources into helping people buy homes, to become homeowners.
Right.
But of course, we still had, at that time, incredible racism within the institutions.
Right.
So in spite of a policy that was supposed to benefit everyone, which boosted a lot of people, our black servicemen did not benefit from that boost as much as others did. So you just look at these different moments in time, right? You look at redlining. I mean, it happened here in Philly. It happened all over the country, which is black people who were ready to buy homes in areas where they could then build the wealth, right? Were not allowed to buy in those places. And today, black families are 40% less likely to own their homes than others, okay?
Right.
So part of my plan and policy is recognizing that, to give people a $25,000 down payment assistance if they're a first-time home buyer, which just helps people literally get their foot in the door. And then folks will save up. They'll do what they do to make the mortgage. Part of my plan is a $6,000 child tax credit for the first year of your child's life. Because as we know, the vast majority of our parents, young fathers and mothers, want to parent their children well, but don't always have the resources to do it. Part of my plan is about dealing with black men's health. I mean, we know the statistics. First of all, black people are 60% more likely to be diagnosed with diabetes. When we talk about our men, like twice as likely to die from things like colon cancer and prostate cancer.
I lost my wife last month to colon cancer.
I know you did.
So when you talk about colon cancer,
I know you did. And I'm so sorry.
I appreciate that. But the truth is,
I lost my mother to colon cancer.
You're so right. We have to utilize our platforms to make sure that people understand early screening, early detection. And for brothers, like, we'll come in the barbershop, we'll talk about everything else, but we won't talk about health care.
Yeah.
We won't talk about those things that could mean life or death.
That's exactly right. And the quality of life, too.
Yes.
Right? I know and see and understand the dimensions of life that we are talking about when we talk about our men. And it's about home ownership. It's about being a business person. It's about having dreams. It's about having ambitions. It's about education. It's about health. And yes, it is about the election, but it's more than that. Because part to the point that we've been talking about, and you talked about so beautifully, when people feel alone, it's very disempowering. Right? When you feel it's like you against the world, it's very disempowering. And I want people to know that they are not alone.
I tell people all the time, there's going to be a president, there's going to be members of Congress.
Right.
There are going to be governors, there are going to be members of the General Assembly, there are going to be mayors and city council. The question that we have to ask ourselves as black men, are we going to have a say in who those people are going to be?
That's exactly right.
And when you don't vote, those folks still get elected. You just don't get to decide.
That's exactly right. So I wrote with Cory Booker the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act when I was in the Senate. And there were a bunch of folks who did not want it to happen and worked against it. And we still need to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, okay? But they worked against it. And then those are the same people who will quietly suggest, see, you shouldn't vote because nothing happens when you do. Because there are forces that also trying to obstruct the good work. And here's the thing, though. If you don't vote, then you're not deciding who's in the positions of power to make decisions like, do we pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act? You see the vicious cycle?
Right.
So you don't vote, and then you end up taking yourself out of the game.
And we should never take ourselves out of the game.
There's a national spotlight every 4 years around the big ticket, the presidential election, and everything like that. There's also very important to make sure that you're voting in your local elections also. Your judges, your state reps, your city council people, and also being engaged in that process so that you understand how all of these different functions work together.
Right. To get the word out, whether people vote for me or not, whether they vote or not. Well, although we want to encourage them to vote for me.
Everybody should vote.
But let's get the word out so people also understand what they have a right to expect and demand. Because this is not about doing anybody a favor. It's literally the right thing to do. Period.
Well, you survived. You survived the barbershop.
I had no question about that. Were you worried?
I know. I mean, I knew you was going to do it.
I think you were worried.
No, I wasn't.
Were you all right?
You were Harris. You were Harris. That's how we built. Let's thank the Vice President for hanging out with us a little bit.
Thank you for letting me come into the barbershop. I know what a sacred space this is. I mean, it's so funny. I was going to say but this is where America's news gets told.
No, for sure.
Right? Like all the press were here. This is where America's news gets told.
So previously I did a video mainly with Donald Trump and the comedians he used on his thing. But today I'm just putting really short clips of him in here, him in McDonald's, in the garbage truck, and of course his speech prior to the election. I think that was his closing argument, if you want to call it that. But hey, I can certainly dig him dishing out fries in McDonald's and see what he did. He went into the neck of the woods to do this, to say, hey, I have the feel, I know what it is, and I can go down to your level. I know we're worried about the fact that he's talking about mass deportation, but looking back at my video, especially with the homelessness, we can see that is probably one of the reasons. Now, I feel bad for the people who are fleeing their countries because of the violence that's going on or seeking political asylum. But the mass deportation has always happened. If we face it, it's just that no one has ever been as outspoken about it as Donald Trump. It has been done during Obama's time, during Bush's time, during Clinton's time, but Donald Trump comes out and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, I'm going to go for it. But it has always happened. All right, continue listening. Yep, Chef Boyardee at its best, and these are all complimentary. Watch as the people drive up to the window, hear how he greets them and what he says to them.
Wow, that's pretty cool. And then you're going to put it right up here on this fryer. Okay, sure. Can I give it to these guys here? Take it. Want to do another one? Yeah. So I'll get it here. Let's do it. There we go. All the way back there. Good. And then you can hang that one right back over there. Thank you. And then we're going to grab our salt. Salt first. And then just one dump. No movement. Good, good, good. Right over.
Never touched by a human hand. Nice and clean. I love salt. Wait a minute, I spilled some. I'm very superstitious. Now it's over the left shoulder. Now
and this is their
that's thousands of people. Hello, how are you? What a beautiful woman. Look at a beautiful child. The whole thing. It's like the perfect looking person. That's good. That's your compliments. Thank you, darling. Thank you. Hi, Mom.
Good luck to
Look at Mom over there. Thank you very much. Thank you, darling. You have a great mom? Good or great? That's right. She knew what to say. Thank you very much. Thank you, darling. Wow, so nice.
All right, you're doing a good job.
Okay, these are nice people we're meeting, huh?
Yes, and this is, go ahead. So your hands won't be too heavy.
Got it. Mary, look at this guy. I'm not going to mess with him, huh?
How you doing, sir?
You look fantastic. Hello.
This is my new baby boy.
How are you? Your new baby. How are you?
Doing great.
Kids, how are you? So this is compliments of me, okay?
All right.
You go have a good time. Don't eat too much, right?
I won't. You have a great day,
Thank you, man. You take care. Thank you, honey. Have a good time. Thank you. It's cute. This is fun. I could do this all day. I wouldn't mind this job. I like this job. I think I might come back and do it again.
Thank you.
It's Kamala's birthday. She's 60 years old. Yes, I would say happy birthday, Kamala. She's turning 60.
Did you get her some fries?
I think I'll get her some flowers. Maybe I'll get her some fries. You're right, that might be. I'll give her some McDonald's. I'll get her a McDonald's hamburger. No, it is her birthday. That is true, right? Happy birthday, Kamala. Happy birthday. See you later. Bye. Thank you.
But over the past 4 years, Americans have suffered one catastrophic failure, betrayal, and humiliation after another. Kamala Harris has delivered soaring prices and economic anguish at home, war and chaos abroad, and nation-destroying invasion on our southern border like nobody's ever seen before. She's actually a disaster. My message to Americans tonight is simple. We do not have to live this way. We don't. We don't. And we won't. We won't. We do not have to settle for weakness, incompetence, decline, and decay. With your vote tomorrow, we can fix every single problem our country faces and lead America, and indeed the whole world, to new heights of glory. You have to go. Forget about the others. It doesn't matter. You have to go and vote. We win this state, it's over. We win the Commonwealth. We're going to win the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and it's going to be over. So get out and vote. That's all I ask.
I think we're going to have a big victory, and I think 250 million people in this country are going to be very happy because we're going to bring the country back. We're a nation in decline, very, very serious decline, and we're going to bring our country back. Elon is a great guy. He's one of our geniuses, and we have to protect our geniuses. We have to take care of our geniuses. There aren't too many of them. I love Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico loves me. I don't know anything about it.
Yep, just like those who say, Lord, Lord, not everyone may enter, because at the end, God may say, go away. I never knew you.
I love Puerto Rico. Nobody's done more for Puerto Rico than me. I took care of them when they had the big hurricanes, and nobody gets along better with Puerto Rico and the Puerto Rican people than me. They love me and I love them. I don't know anything about the comedian. I don't know who he is. I've never seen him. I heard he made a statement, but it was just a statement that he made. He's a comedian. What can I tell you? I know nothing about him. I don't know why he's there. You put comedians up, and I guess he went on earlier in the show. I don't know who he is.
Imagine any circumstances under which you would be defeated, but not say that the election was stolen?
If it was a corrupt election, that could happen. But so far, we're doing pretty well. They found a lot of smaller things in Pennsylvania, as you know, and I think they've been corrupted and taken care of. They were corrupt. They were corrupted, but I think it's been taken care of.
Do you anticipate to declare victory on election night?
I hope that we're going to declare a victory. I mean, they spend all that money on machines. How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
Doesn't matter what you think about Donald Trump. You just have to love him for who he is. He is only human.